Sorry for the tardiness, guys. It's because we are trying to run a game time picks with the Hustle Pod. As you can see, we have that template up. That will not happen next week. I just made an executive decision because, well, I'm in charge of that kind of shit at Wager Talk, and that's what we're going to do. From now on, game time picks with KIV Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We are going to still do a little Viva read, of course, because it's the best tequila seltzer on the planet. Tonight, we've got Adam Trigger, Chris Thurston, both from The Hustle. That's why I try to do the collab. Now here we are, almost 10 minutes late. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're getting the chat loaded. If you guys have a game that you want us to touch on for the Thursday slate, hit us up. If there's a game for Friday and there's a line already available on it, we can touch on one of those as well. Because, you know, Adam Trigger loves the Ivy Leagues and the godforsaken small conferences that I can't name a single player on. I'm really sad because there's not that many of you guys in the chat, but that's probably because we were 11 minutes late to start the show. There is no time to waste. I'm going to get right into it. I am on Arizona. I laid 13.5. You guys can check out all of my bets now on Pickit. It's a new app. Promo code Kelly. Shout out to those guys for putting together a really fun app that connects to your betting accounts. That's the best part. I don't have to bet it and then try to find it on an app. It just does it for me. So every time I make a bet now, you guys are going to get notified. That is Arizona minus 13.5. We're a little late to the party. Apologies on that one. But I do still like it. As you know, ranked versus ranked, lay the points with the home team. I still don't see any questions in the chat over here as far as games you guys want to hit. So I'm going to bring in Adam Trigger first. Adam, break me down a game that you like tonight.
Yeah, I guess I'll just start with one of my client plays. I gave it out on a show earlier, so I'll talk about it here. I played Michigan. I took the points. I haven't seen what it is now. I took 12.5. I know it kind of came down quick. It then went back up to 12. I think it might be down to 11. I think I'm good with anything like 11 or better here. Really, it's just a fade of Northwestern for me, Kel. Like I can't believe Northwestern's a 12.5 point favorite to anyone in the Big Ten. I know it's going to be the last game without McDaniel. I know Michigan's been dreadful without him and been dreadful on the road. Of course, those are the games he's not playing in. But I think by game number 6 of this little house arrest, Doug McDaniel suspension, like that, you know, it's kind of more than baked into the line. But really, like my I think the key here as to why I wouldn't lay 12.5 with Northwestern is, Ty Berry done for the year. He was their best 3-point shooter, 43.3%. And the 3-point shot's a huge part of that Northwestern offense. They really rely on the made three. And I just don't think they're going to blow anyone out, even Michigan, without making the three at a high rate. This is a team that's 330th nationally in rebounding. I mean, I get it. They've had a great season. But, you know, when was the last time Northwestern was a double-digit favorite in the Big Ten? Probably not very often. So I think Michigan hangs around here. I took the 12.5 points, and that is one of my client plays tonight.
I took the 6.5 here with Trig because I don't trust this team to play an entire game. CT Betts knows a little bit about that. We argued about Michigan a couple weeks ago. They did still get the cover for him, and I'm happy for that. But again, I do not trust them. CT Betts 16 on Twitter. C Thurston 18 on Instagram, Trig? Or CT, I'm sorry.
C Thurston 18 on Instagram, correct? At CTBets 16 on Twitter.
Too many numbers for this blonde to remember. CT Betts, good friend of mine, Viva Seltzer owner. We argue about which flavor is the best, but we all know it's grapefruit and it only has 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and it is the perfect drink for your pregame. Yeah, that's what this show used to be called, pregame picks with KIV. Now it's game time. So game time celebrations with active lifestyle in mind so that I don't get fat and you guys make fun of me about being chubby on Instagram. I know CT loves himself some Huckleberry and a little bit of golf and about 18 Vivas with 18 holes. CT, give me your favorite bet tonight on the hardwood. If you guys have a question for CT, don't forget, drop it in the chat.
Love me some Viva. I'm just along for the ride. My brother's the owner. I'm just lucky enough to sell some. And Cal, we're going to go to the Colonial for the only game that I've bet so far tonight. And that's UNC Wilmington at William and Mary. I know Trig was shocked when I told him that this is a game that I played. So I think he's going to be pretty excited here. And we saw UNC Wilmington, Cal. They lost last Saturday. They let that game versus Elon kind of like slip right through their fingers. And they got to be pretty pissed about that because that dropped them into a tie for second. Now they're one game behind Charlestown, a team they actually swept earlier in the season. They beat them twice already. I think the Seahawks are going to be motivated to take care of business tonight here. William and Mary, man, they have struggled all season long, and they're coming in with 6 straight losses here. The Tribe just 6-6 at home on the year, and now they're facing a pretty focused UNC Wilmington team, I think, tonight here, and I don't think they'll be able to keep up. This one's on the way to 11, Kel, so we played on UNC Wilmington minus 10.5. I expect them to be strong from start to finish and win in blowout fashion.
CT, I'm going to kick it right back to you because we have a question from Instagram about a game, and then we're going to ask Trig about a different team off a loss. The Purdue Boilermakers lose to the Ohio State Buckeyes on the road. Of course they did because Ohio State had just fired their coach. Why I didn't play on them is beyond me, but now Purdue is laying 14.5 tonight at home to Rutgers. Is this a good bounce back spot for Purdue? We know how prolific this offense is, but they just got held to 69 points on Sunday. Kind of want to know your thoughts here on a team that a lot of people think are going to be a 1 seed in the tournament.
Yeah, we saw that Purdue and UConn they're not invincible, right? We saw that this week with UConn and Purdue on Saturday. Kelly, yeah, I think it's a nice bounce back spot for Purdue, but I'm really not in a rush to lay 15 right here. I think that they obviously play a lot. They're a lot more comfortable at home. I think they'll take care of business here. Rutgers team's playing a lot better outside of their loss last Sunday to Minnesota. They've been starting to score a little bit more than usual. It would be Purdue or pass for me, but I'm not laying that number, Kel.
Yeah, it seems a little steep. Another one that was really interesting, Trig, I'm going to kick it over to you. You and I both talked about UTSA last night and why I wanted to play against USF off their big win over FAU, because I thought by the way, on Saturday that USF would beat Florida Atlantic. On Sunday, they would beat Florida Atlantic, and they did. It was a high-scoring affair because they'd be looking ahead to this SMU game. Now, we're looking at on the Wager Talk odds screen, FAU is a 6.5-point home favorite. Total 154. I kind of want to back the Mustangs here, but I don't know if I trust this team. Right now, they have won 6 straight. This is a big game for them. And I think it's the wrong time to be catching the Owls and this prolific offense. Do you think SMU has the horses to keep up with the Owls?
So, Kel, I'll tell you what. I am going to answer a question from Twitter, and I'm going to pass this one to CT because he has a stronger opinion on this game than I do. So, for FAU, SMU, I'm going to let CT answer that one. For the person that asked on Twitter, just real quick, North Dakota State, St. Thomas, I'd lean North Dakota State at home. I think they have a little bit of a rebounding edge, and it's a tough place to go play. The Tommies haven't been good on the road. They're upstart, but this is a tough test for them. So I answered the Twitter question, and I'm gonna give FAU, SMU to CT.
Yeah, Kel, I got a pretty strong lean here on Florida Atlantic. I know, like you said, SMU, they've ripped off 6 straight, and they're still looking from the outside in on the big dance here. Tonight would be what they need to help their cause here, and that would be a quad 1 win. I know this Owls team, it's not the same dominant team that we saw last year. They just lost to USF. Now they're unranked. I think SMU's streak comes to an end tonight. I know FAU has had some big-time issues on D, but not at home. And that's where they're going to be tonight. And they hold opponents to 65 points and 40% shooting from the floor. They protect the ball. They could keep up with SMU on the glass. And I think FAU gets a much-needed win and cover tonight here. So I like the Owls minus 6.5.
All right, Trig, because I can't find this one on the Wager Talk odds screen. You're getting stuck with it. Grand Canyon, Tarleton
there we are.
State. Yeah. This one is in the Instagram chat. I'm hysterically laughing because I've been scrolling since CT started talking, trying to find the rotation number. So somewhere on the extra board, it's there. Your thoughts, because the skis, Murphy wants to know on Instagram.
Yeah, so Grand Canyon, Tarleton State, believe it or not, Kel, there was a at one point in time, I was going to try to go to Texas a day early to go to this game. It didn't work out. Of course, Tarleton State is in Stevensville. It's not too far from Dallas or Waco, where CT and I are going to be this weekend. But this is a huge game. I'll actually make a parallel here from the FAU team we just talked about to Grand Canyon, because I really think Grand Canyon in the WAC is kind of like getting the FAU treatment, where they're everybody's biggest game. So, like, that's been the tough part for FAU this year, is they keep having to take everyone's best shot in that conference. They're sort of the name team, and Grand Canyon gets that in the WAC. They're sort of a brand. They paid Bryce Drew big money to be there. They have the best facilities. They have the most money. So now, like Tarleton tonight, this game will be sold out. Wisdom Gym's going to be sold out tonight. They're getting like 2,000 per game, and it's only like a 3,000 seat arena. I know this will be their biggest home game of the season, so the crowd should be awesome. Going back to the first meeting, Kelly, like it looks on paper like it was a total blowout. I think Grand Canyon ended up winning by 30, but Tarleton led for about 16 minutes in that game and just couldn't make a shot in the second half. The number is a little short, so Tarleton's on a serious run right now. They've covered 6 straight games. They've won their last 4 games as an underdog. They've won them outright. And so they're a dog again here. I think it watered the number down a little bit. Like, I actually looked at Tarleton State in this spot. I had the spot circled a couple weeks ago. But, you know, what we always say, like a couple weeks ago, I thought I would have gotten like 7.5 or 8 in this game, Cal. Now it's 4.5. I can't really justify getting involved there at 4.5. The number's just too short. But it should be a rocking atmosphere at Tarleton tonight. I think they give them a game. It's just 4.5 was awfully low. So I had to stay out of it, but like slightly in Tarleton.
All right, CT, let's get back to the real world. Let's talk some Big Ten basketball. Give the YouTube channel a little bit of love. We give Trig a lot of grief. Kudos to him. I cannot name a player on Tarleton State or Grand Canyon University because, well, it's just not part of my repertoire in life. Ohio State off a big win, Chris, as we mentioned, to Purdue. How do they fare tonight? 3-point underdogs at Minnesota. Kind of wondering if this isn't a flat spot from them, or do you think maybe they're a little rejuvenated under interim head coach?
I haven't talked to anybody today, Cal, that wants to back the Buckeyes, even after that big win on Sunday over Purdue. And I think that was just what the Buckeyes needed to get rid of Chris Holtman. I mean, I can't believe it took that long. And I know they've underachieved this year, and they haven't been great on the road at all. But I think this is a spot here tonight where you could back the Buckeyes, and I think they're going to be pretty fired up here. I think they're a lot of players. They want Holtman gone, and I know a lot of the boosters wanted Holtman gone for a long time here. And usually, a lot of people say, maybe a letdown spot after the big win here, but it would be Buckeyes for me tonight. Getting the 3.5 here on the road. I know it's a tough spot for them, and they're not comfortable on the road, but I feel comfortable with them tonight.
Yeah, Abby Jackson makes a very good point in the chat on YouTube. They have not been good home favorites, right? We know they've covered 8 straight, and they've been good in that role, but now we're asking the hunters to become the hunted. So let's keep an eye there on the Gophers, the best team in college basketball against the spread. Lots of small school questions in the chat, Trig. I'm going to give you this one. Vermont versus Albany. 11.5 feels a little short. Vermont having pasted Albany by 20 plus earlier. I know you got something to say about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think this opened lower than that. So I think this has actually been bet up quite a bit. I'll have to go back and check that. But I guess quick thoughts here. So this back in the day was a pretty big rivalry. Albany, though, they got out of the gate kind of hot this year, but they've really struggled. It looks like a team that's kind of run out of gas. This was not a very good basketball team last year. I felt like they kind of overachieved out of the gate. So, this is a team that I think is just kind of running out of gas right now. They played at Vermont a couple weeks ago. They lost by 22. I mean, they just renovated their arena. So they didn't even play in Albany last year because the arena was getting renovated. The place is absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure they'll get their biggest crowd of the season tonight because Vermont's the biggest opponent in that league. So maybe a little bit of maybe a little juice from the home crowd. But the thing with Vermont is they just continue to get better. Like this is a team that for the first time in a long time, John Becker had to go to the transfer portal, right? And like he brings in a bunch of different transfers that doesn't typically happen in a small league like this. But he went to the transfer portal, got has his team. And after a couple months, this is a team that it's funny. Chris will remember this well. We were at dinner in Boston, and they beat Yale in the craziest ending maybe of the entire season, where they scored 6 points in 5 seconds to win the game. And they've really kind of launched since that win. And now it's like they're not a team I really want to go against. So I do think you maybe missed the number here. It did get bet up, but Albany just looks like a team I want to fade right now. So probably Vermont or nothing.
CT, I know you said you only played one game tonight. I only also played one game, but was there anything else that maybe just missed your card that you considered playing, wanted to play, or maybe might come within the number of actually playing before it tips off?
Yeah, it's the late one, Cal, and it's in the Pac-12. And that's Oregon at Stanford here. And I might get to the window with the Ducks. They're coming off that buzzer beater versus their rival. And Stanford's been really struggling lately here. And I know the Ducks, they're really inconsistent. They really haven't been putting up many points, especially the past couple of games. But I think that could change tonight by attacking the Cardinal defense. They're really soft on the perimeter. I think that could help right the ship. They really take care of the ball well. Stanford, very turnover prone. I like the Ducks to get it done tonight. Hasn't made my card, but might get there.
All right. I'm going to let Trig have like the last minute and 45 seconds to just rattle off. Guys are asking Lemoyne questions. Lemoyne is a Division I basketball school. But first, I got to do my Viva Tequila Seltzer read. Viva's Tequila Seltzer is the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market. Number one hard seltzer in the world, voted by San Francisco World Spirits Competition last year. 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5% ABV. And that is because it was created for those with an active lifestyle in mind, because we flavor our tequila seltzers because flavor is a spice of life, and we like our drinks with a kick, just like we like to live our lives. Here on the Hustle Show, Game Time Picks with KIV collab. Adam Trigger, I actually gave you 2 minutes and 40 seconds. The chat box wants to know what. That's a long time for me to have to suffer through listening to you talk about Lemoyne, ULL. And I think that was it. I think those were the last two everybody really wanted to hear about. Oh, and it's St. Francis, Merrimack. So I'm going to give you the floor. Lemoyne, University of Louisiana Lafayette, and St. Francis versus Merrimack. Take it away, Trig. Do what you do best.
All right, so I'll talk about Lemoyne and Merrimack together because it's the same conference. Lemoyne, Kelly, that's in Syracuse, New York. You should know that. They are new to Division I. This is their first year in Division I. But to answer his question, do I like their chances again? I mean, they're the favorite. They're a 3-point favorite. I guess they should win. But LIU's kind of a tricky trip. It's down in the Bronx. It's like they're a team that's got a little talent. It's a total mess of a team. Like, they're not well run, but it's like, so Rod Strickland is their coach, former NBA All-Star point guard. His 2 kids are on the team, and they can play. So every once in a while, like, LIU gives a good effort and wins a game. I'd actually probably take the points with LIU. It seems like a tricky spot for Lemoyne tonight. And I know Derek Jones has kind of been like battling a little bit of an injury for them. Not sure what his status is there. As far as Merrimack is concerned, they're the best team in that league. St. Francis, I thought coming into the year was going to be the worst. And I still believe they probably are. They had a couple of nice results, but they're not a good basketball team. It's been bet up. Like, I actually would expect Merrimack to just smash them. Like, I don't know if I want to lay 15. It opened 13, but the Merrimack's the way I lean there. I'll hit the whole NEC real quick. Central Connecticut State, I like them, but this line just crashed. It moved 2 points right before tip, so I don't want any part of that line move at Wagner. The one I like the best in the NEC is actually Sacred Heart. Now, this has been bet up, but I think Sacred Heart wins tonight against Fairleigh Dickinson. Sacred Heart was the team I like to win this league, and they've really underachieved to this point, but they've been very strong at home, and Fairleigh Dickinson doesn't play much defense. So I think Sacred Heart probably gets it done. As far as the Louisiana game, I didn't have a huge opinion on that one. I can't even tell you off the top of my head who they're playing, Cal. That's one Louisiana Monroe. I think Monroe hung with them earlier this year. I think that was the game that got pushed off to the next day. I think it got like weather delayed till the next day, and then like Monroe maybe hung around. To go double check that, but it looks like a very lopsided ticket count on Louisiana. The game's at UL Monroe, so I don't know. That just prompts me to look at the home team, but not a real strong opinion on that one for me.
All right, you only went over by 17 seconds. CT cashed that ticket.
Well, yeah, but I threw two other games. I threw two other games.
You got a winner under your belt tonight. Right. Recap: I laid 13.5 with Arizona. CT bets, you laid 11.5 with UNC Wilmington, and 10.5 with UNC Wilmington. Sorry, and are patiently waiting to see
FAU and Oregon.
Okay, so those are two possibles you may end up on. Adam Trigger, anything you would like to recap before I kick you off my show?
Yeah, so I played Michigan plus 12.5 to client play. I have a second client play that's up that tips off at 7 p.m. That's on my page at Wager Talk. And if I had to throw like a next best thing up there, like lean, it would probably be Sacred Heart. I think they probably win their game. It's moved quite a bit, so I try to target the money line, but I'll be surprised if they lose to Fairleigh Dickinson tonight.
Sweet. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday until I'm exhausted, we're going to be here live on the Wager Talk Instagram channel as well as the Wager Talk YouTube channel. We're going to see you guys throughout March because we got lots to talk about. I'm going to bring in some guys to talk some NHL and NBA as well. Thank you to Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter, at atrig15 on Instagram. Thank you to Chris Thurston at CTBets16 on X. I always still say Twitter X. This makes me want to do like the DMX song. And Chris Thurston 18. I'm going to have to ask why he has two different numbers on Instagram. Make sure you guys are giving them all a follow. And thank you for hanging out with us on this Thursday night. Let's cash some tickets.